out on iHipHopTV.com on YouTube. Shit is fire. Check out iHipHopTV.com on YouTube.
That's right. That's right. You know what time it is. When you see that, you know it's time for iHipHopTV. Big shout out to Mad Money Militia Inc. Dark Diva, brings you these great shows, here on iHipHopTV, and tonight is no different. Big shout out to Aladdin 19. Big shout out to Big Wall and the Culture Gang for sure. Big shout out to my wife Portia for supporting me and hanging in there and doing what she do. That's how we do it, But tonight we have a great show. We dab into that. We pride ourselves on bringing these unique, special, talented artists to the screen, to let you might not have heard of them. You might not have heard them before, but you will after tonight, after you view this show, for sure. And tonight's guest hails from Detroit, Motown. You say you're from Detroit, Motown, there's music involved. It's in the blood. He probably was 2 years old playing a guitar or something, so that's how it goes down. At 5 he was playing drums. That's how it worked, But Motown, and that's the history. To me, Motown in Detroit is a huge part of Black heritage, and shout out to Black Heritage Month. This is the month. So, and that's what Motown means to me, Black excellence and from coming out of Detroit music. But without any further delay, I want to bring this man to the platform. He does this music. He does it his way. He delivers messages. He's helping people along the way. He does what he do. We have we got the only Seeymoore Bell in the house, man. What's going on, Mr. Bell? What's cracking? What's cracking, man?
What's going on? Thank you all for having me on. Hey,
man, thank you for coming through, man, and sharing your story, and how you go about your musical journey. Where it began, where it started. The direction you're going, and that is read, man. You do a lot of stuff for education and everything too, and that's big. Always that. So shout out to you for doing that. That's dope. That's really dope. That you make that happen. But give our audience viewers a little background on yourself and why you got into music.
All right. Well, Detroit and music and Motown go hand in hand. I lived about 9 blocks from Hitsville.
Mm-hmm.
So was always seeing the Motown artists, and so it's the music is what Detroit was about at the time, between the Motor City for the auto industry as well as the music.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was kind of folded in, so you couldn't talk everything from block parties to when the ice cream truck came through, they were playing Motown. So it's just music was everywhere. I definitely made it to Hitsville several times, and Studio A, where a lot of the greats recorded those early Motown, classics and timeless classics. So it does kind of just jump on you. Though I did dabble some with drums, didn't follow through.
I thought so.
Yeah. I was gonna say many people, a little bit of trumpet. And there's so many people that wish they had held on and stuck with an instrument. And I might be one of those people, because I'm going to tell you, when you're doing music, when you can play some, it certainly helps. But, so that's kind of how it all started. My grandfather, music, of course, when they were cooking, when it was happy times, sad times, music was always, the soundtrack was in the background. So.
That's huge right there. That right there is huge. So with Hitsville, that makes me you hailing from Motown, and you mentioned Studio A. My man, the late Dion Estes, comes out of Detroit, and bass player, and he used to tell me about being a young man playing the bass in studio sessions for Marvin Gaye. It's
Yeah.
funny, you went from Detroit to the DMV, and Marvin went from the DMV to Detroit.
To Detroit, right? I hear that all the time, and of course, man, talk about someone who kind of took that soul and that edutainment and bringing the realness to music. You know, like a news reporter, singer. So, and I could go into stories, but you know, a lot of times we came very like they lived around the corner from us,
Mm.
and so in Detroit. So yeah, his family. I was talking to someone the other day who is one of the cousins to Marvin Gaye, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, you definitely when you mentioned that block between Third and John C. Lodge or Euclid, yeah, you definitely know where they were, you know, in the block and stuff." So it was interesting. Purvis Jackson, the Spinners, all of them were all around. And even though they were at Motown Philly sound and eventually went to another label, it was just really something to have those type of individuals around. And again, you see them doing their thing. And sure, yeah, you I think who didn't try to do something in music coming out of there?
A lot of pressure for the music because there's a lot of great artists that come out of there and came through there, like you said.
Right,
You know?
right.
So when you get into the music, you know, you had to be serious because you get left behind, you know, playing around in the music because people are serious.
Yeah.
They taking it seriously. They ain't playing with it. You know, so who are some of your musical inspirations, you know, that brings you to this point in your music career?
Well, you know, music for me, I listen to rock, I listen to R&B, soul. So when I start naming names, believe it or not, I can say, and it's funny to start here, but I can say I like "Home Sweet Home" by Motley Crue, and the reason I say that, you know, we chatted a little bit beforehand. You know, in the Navy, when you're heading home, they pick a song sometime to put over the loudspeaker so you can kind of get that feeling with heading home. So they have a song called "Home Sweet Home." You know, so there's that in rock. We talk about Marvin Gaye. You'll hear some of the influences of him and Teddy Pendergrass. Not that I'm singing, but just in some of even the ad lib dialogue that we do in some of the songs. You know, I think I mentioned this one part where I said something like want to take something like "Turn Off the Lights." She says, "Isn't that Teddy Pendergrass?"
Teddy, that's Teddy.
You know,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
And you know, so it's my missus. But in this song called "Kiss You," I'm going back to the days when I was trying to talk to her.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we put some ad libs in there, and it was pretty funny. But definitely some of those old school artists growing up with grandparents, I heard across the spectrum. Then, you know, Prince, of course. You know, his coming of age story, Purple Rain, and then later on, you know, and I saw some just a musical genius talk about someone that can play all the instruments. Michael Jackson's influence. I just finished watching that documentary on the USA for Africa, We Are the World, and to see all those greats come together and do something that prolific, where you bring all those talented individuals from Bob Dylan to Quincy's in there. So you're seeing all these individuals, Cyndi Lauper, you know, all of them coming together for
yes.
So you can that type of movement was just it was incredible to see. And then wow, there's so many. I love that old time those Spinners songs and stuff. The stuff that it used to kind of keep you out of trouble. You hear the Manhattans, "Let's Just Kiss and Say Goodbye." Listen to that with my parents and grandparents. And you think, okay, I never want to mess up to where I have to write or live a song like that. So music influence is just all over the place. It really is. So that's just a handful of the artists. And, when I go with the female artists, of course, Nita Baker coming from the same neck of the woods, Aretha, and just so many are. And then got to mention Whitney. So my music taste is a little bit all over the place.
Yeah, yeah, and your influence, and you can hear it in some of your sounds, and the music selections that you pick up.
Yeah.
You can hear it, which is good. I mean, because it's like nothing else out there right now. The sound you got, you pick to go with. It makes it so I can see why you are streaming and having success, because people get tired of the same old everything sounding like a little hard. So you bring it on that other angle with that little bit of old school sound and flair to it,
Right.
Smooth lyrics you coming through with your voice. It's hot, it's different. So
hey, thanks.
Again, shout out to you. It's dope, man, that you making it happen like that.
Relationships. The song Real Men, inspired by not having a father. So how to, there's a couple embedded messages in Tough and Tougher Son. So I had to figure out how to be a father to my sons, because I had a father figure in my grandparents, but with that generational difference, sometimes their information was a little dated. There were some things that, he had a 6th grade education. Now, I used to say he had a PhD in peopleology because I watched how he entreated people, and I watched how people entreated him. And so, when I think about, just because you had a bad dad doesn't mean you're going to turn out to be a bad dad. And I actually say that several times in Tougher Son, because too many men who were abandoned by fathers automatically think that they're going to turn out to be, or unfortunately in the messaging sometimes from family members, you're no good dad or whatever. Now, I didn't have that, but it is why I decided to go the relationship route and talk about things like that, so we can see if we can disconnect from some of this social media and reconnect with one another.
And Real Men, that song earns you a DC Whammy nomination. Now, if you're not from DC, you don't know nothing about the Whammy Awards, but it's big in DC. That's like an honor, to be nominated for that in your music. So, how did that make you feel?
It
like you're accepted.
Good. Again, Real Men's messaging, and to have people vibe to it. Shout out to Alex Seawall who produced that, and just that sound was a little different. And at first I got some pushback, but then when you have people like, I had African dancers reach out, and there's some clips out there of them dancing to Real Men, and so it felt real good to be nominated for Whammy. You start out doing these things and you don't really see some of that stuff coming. But yeah, it was a good feeling to have art appreciated like that, especially, again, being that I'm trying to speak to the minds and hearts of men. And so to have that be recognized to the extent that it was really nice.
Yeah. And also, to be nominated, have 2 songs nominated in 2023, of course, that's your sign that you have arrived in DC music scene,
Yeah,
not just one.
Yeah, it's a good time. I gotta tell you, we talked a little bit how this started, but when we get there, I gotta tell you the backdrop of how the effort was thwarted the first time, but through just sticking with it. If you want me to go into it now, I can.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about that. Come on.
So basically, I started writing when I was a kid. So later on, Curtis Blow was coming back out, and he was doing basketball for the movie Like Mike. So I started, I auditioned to be a part of a Juneteenth celebration. Because believe it or not, California has been celebrating Juneteenth for the longest time. They really are. California, Texas. So Curtis Blow, he liked what I did. I opened up for him. Def Jeff, a guy named Jeffrey Fortune, he gave me his manager's telephone number. So things were kind of taking off. Then I got someone that decided to never ask me any questions as to what I was doing. Didn't know I was doing a little music, had a part-time gig, and the assumption was that I was doing something illegal. So they run the investigation, find out that once they ask me questions and I share, believe it or not, when I was exonerated, they actually asked me, "Hey, do you mind doing one of your songs for the Dr. King program?" So it's kind of funny. You go from
being accused,
being accused and almost getting in trouble to doing that. But then I got orders, because I was still in the Navy, to Okinawa, and you can't promote a song from overseas. And so I walked away, and I was done. And then later, believe it or not, once again in the DC area, I'm doing a Black History program, and a gentleman by the name of Eli Harvey comes up, and he compliments one of my poems, and he says, "Hey, your poems are good. Would you like to put some to music? I'm a producer. I've been working with him here locally. He helps me with all the production stuff, and then he put me on to someone who can master and stuff. So it's been a journey, to have someone, and I got to admit, I was nervous. I didn't know, because you don't know when you get in that type of trouble and you're in the Navy, you don't know what the outcome is going to be. So there was definitely some nervousness there, but again, here we are, some years later. And, I'm releasing tracks in preparation to release an album. I said I was one and done, but we'll see, because you'll see in the album itself, there's a little rock and roll. There's some slow songs. So I wanted to try my hand at different genres of music within this one project. And we'll see what happens, because they are talking to me about doing a second project. So we'll see.
Yeah, see, and the first one ain't even out. You already did, so that's saying a lot. That it's going to be well received. So the Falling for You, that's set to be released tomorrow. In fact,
right? Yeah, absolutely, tomorrow. Yeah, what a fun song. When you're young and you marry young and you realize, like some of the lyrics, making room is a give and a take. It's not tripping over every little mistake. Having each other back as long as we live. Being the biggest fans of what we both did. So it's we have supported one another. When you marry as young as we did, sometimes we'll jokingly say we've been married 7 times, because you evolve as a person. And you either reconnect at forks or you split at forks. And people sometimes ask us, how did y'all pull this off? And I'm just going to say, our answer is usually God first, and we didn't give up on each other, because there were times when you don't know what you don't know, where you get frustrated with one another, and it could go that way. So this whole Falling for You is going all the way back to when, I first saw her. And I really was skipping class, breaking all the rules. I thought it was cool. And then I saw you. I had to step and try and kick some game. Can I get your number, or maybe your name? So it's going all the way back to when I first, and here we are. So
that's big. I mean, your journey's come. I ain't gonna say full circle, because you still do draw in that circle, in the music. So you still making it happen, so that's big. But Falling for You is set to be released tomorrow. Go check it out, people. Definitely jump on that. Elders Toils, that was released in January. That one's out there. How was that? I mean, I listened to it. It's a nice vibe. All your music that I've heard got a real smooth vibe to it.
Hey, thanks so much. Elders Toils, my grandfather sacrificed a lot. And when I look at the legacy that they left sometimes, there are times that I'm saddened at how, in some degrees, we've handled it. So that was my way of basically saying thank you for their sacrifice. I didn't live through Jim Crow. I didn't live through some of the hurdles that were often raised when it was their turn to jump. Now, don't in their era, because that happens still today. But I'm just saying in their era. So for them to endure that, and I had to just do elders' toils and thank them for paving a way. And now it's up for us to do the same thing. And sometimes some of the things that we're saying and we're thinking is cute and, oh, it's so cute, it don't become cute when these kids grow up. And so, it's no judgment in the sense of, people say, don't judge me. There's no judgment like unto condemnation, nothing like that. But I'm just saying, we got to be careful what we feed them, because what's cute today is in the sale tomorrow. And that's the stuff I want to stop seeing. So elders' toils, thanks elders. And it also kind of talks about some of the things we still grapple with today. Trying to think. So there's a line in it. It says, let me see. When I say my boots have been soiled in respect to my elders' toils. Now, actually, X-Clan said that several years back. But that's just my way of saying I didn't have to go through what they went through, but I saw it, and I would hear the stories of when Dr. King was shot, how my grandfather was hosing down the house to stop the embers from destroying our home in Detroit during the riots.
Right.
So it was easy just to come together with something that thanked them for paving the way for the atrocities that they endured. And it kind of is just saying, be aware. I talk about camouflage clans, soil boots of elders that sharecrop the land, repel the insults of man, because man is going to try to insult us, tear us down in some way. So I say things to try to say, we're aware of what you're doing, but we need to be aware amongst ourselves what we are doing and how we're doing it. Because no handouts are coming. It's going to have to be earned. So that's what Elders Toil is about, thanking them for doing something that paved the way for us.
That's real. That's real right there. You got to keep that. Now we had talked about a little bit about it before we off air. I want to get in. How did you get your name, your moniker?
Oh, wow.
How did that come about?
So I keep bringing up my grandfather. That was his last name, Bell. And then sometimes when I would have conversations with my sons, they would say, wow, Dad, I didn't see that. Sometimes you see more. So one day, and I recall saying the same thing to my grandfather, just being in awe of what he would teach me, like little one-liners, like never let insignificant people create significant events in your life. The minute you react, vice respond, someone is more in control of you than you are. So he saw more. And when they started saying that to me sometimes, I just said, Seeymoore. Interesting. And then I took his last name. So that's how the name. So everything about this project is somewhat personable.
Yes.
And either saying it's gratitude, it's taking some of the messages and reshaping them in a delivery that I would say it matches today. I mean, I'm not flowing like Migos and all those folks with the great cadence and stuff, but I love what I do, and that's how the name came. And yeah,
that's big right there. That's it's a part of you. Your ancestors, your grandfather's name. That's smooth how you used his name and incorporated that into your moniker. That's real.
The pictures on there are like my mother, his mother, my grandmother, and a couple other influential people who, what, in one of my songs, I actually say I'm not 15 seconds like TikTok or Twitter, because everything cannot be solved in truncated sentences. We got to sometimes also, it's so I got caught up in thinking about him.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's real. It's real. It's real. It's real close. You know, it's real. It's real dear to you. You know, and
it is.
It's in your heart. It's endeared to you. So
yeah, that man gave up
a
lot for me to have what we have, and so I appreciate it.
He made the sacrifice, you know, and taught you and gave it to you that you are going to make for your sons, or have been making for your sons and things. So that starts a positive cycle of manhood, you know, and teaching men, raising men. You know, shout out to you for that. You know, doing that with all the other stuff you do. You know, that's dope. You know, I also read too that you had worked with the Floaters. I don't know if people out there remember that. You know, and how is that? You know, I mean, the Floaters like that. That's a classic. That's
yeah.
Classic.
So in one of the first songs, I sampled "Float On," and I remember we were in our house in Cali, and we get this call. Now, he says, Danny Lando was the West Coast management for the Floaters at the time. And I just happened to meet him. And believe it or not, Ike Turner, they went to the same barbershop that I went to. So I was doing the Juneteenth, and Ike basically said, this is Danny Lando, the West Coast manager. Now, we were all kind of back at the barbershop after the Juneteenth because everything was close.
Yeah.
And so that's when, you know, I got the call from Larry. Yeah, the one that's Larry in the
Full. Yeah, my name is Larry. Yeah.
So I remember saying to my wife, I said, hey, it's Larry. You know, the one who take my hand. You know? Yeah. So it was cool. And they just 50-50. Let's do it. And that track, I can't really find it. It was with a small local label at the time, and that's one of the tracks I released before I got sent to Okinawa, Japan.
Okay.
And so, and couldn't really I see it sometimes out there. You can find it, but I really don't have like the master or to republish it. Although some people are encouraging me to do so. They said, why don't you just contact the Harry Fox agency again, because everything was on above board. Harry Fox agency got in, and you know that's a real big agency when you're clearing samples. Yeah, so they all got involved. I still had the paperwork, so he said, man, you better take that paperwork back and see if you could re-record that song and just do something different with the beat and cadence.
Get it back out there. Yeah.
So that's how that happened. You can't. It's just crazy to, meet Ike Turner, and of course it was long after all of the stuff that we always hear. But talk about a gifted baritone, because he literally started singing to my youngest son, my oldest son at the time, and so it was something to hear that in a barbershop on Hill Street in Oceanside, California. Yeah, so that's how the Floaters came in.
Everything happens in the barbershop, you know.
I tell you, you know, and that's when I was freaking the barbershop back then.
Yeah.
You don't have to go no more.
Say no, you don't got to do no more.
But you know, it's funny, you know, with barbershop being cornerstone of society here, and I got to shout out Moon's Barbershop here in Maryland, because Moon, I still go by just to say what's up to them sometime. I may not get a haircut. Sometimes I'll just get a trim up, but you know, the beard and goatee and stuff. But so I still stop by there every now and then, because it's just, you know, he's a cool business dude, and he would drop knowledge on the fellas. You know, he does the backpack to school thing for the kids. So he's really doing big stuff. So when you have an opportunity to get on the platform and you can shout out some people that's doing some good stuff, got to do it.
Got to. You got to. You know, it's funny you mentioned you're the second guest I had that talked about Ike Turner. You know, I had Bel Air. She's an EDM artist on for a while. Shout out to Bel Air. She just dropped her album. She toured with Ike Turner was one of his background singers.
Wow.
You know, so she had some interesting stories. You know, it was funny, but yeah,
he had some wisdom. Knows the because he was up some age at that time, and he definitely had some wisdom that he was sharing there in the barbershop. But it's just, I couldn't believe it at first. Like you said, next to Ike Turner, I said, Ike,
yeah,
that Ike Turner, like yes, that Ike Turner. So
you know, that is, but you know, so and that is, you know, another part of history, music history, and what he did. So you know, hit the game that he run across in his time. You know, he could share some knowledge with you in the music business and everything. So that was big. You know, shout out to you know, you again for that, man. You making it happen, man. So that's big. That's big. Everything you're doing, you know, it sounds like it's coming. It's coming from your heart and your soul and how you feel about things, making things happen. You know, and that's big. You know that you can do it your way. You know, independently, and put out the music that you want to put out. Don't have no pressure to do something different, to get up with the, you know, the nowadays or some K-pop or, you know, some pop records or whatever. Do it your own style, you know. So, and that's dope, you know, that you can do that, you know. That's dope.
we got to put something back. You know, so many of us men are committing suicide, the resiliency rate. So when you can take and say, real men, you know, emote, real men help keep relationships afloat. When they see rough seas, they don't just jump out the boat. You know, to be in a relationship, I had to dig deep sometime, you know, because you got personalities coming together, and when you just throw in a towel, so I wanted to come out with some stuff that could kind of reinforce family, and I know there's a lot of debate about family makeup now, and I get it. But I will say that if we as men don't, you know, start teaching our sons other than the bravado, macho, gang stuff, I mean, we're doing what others want to happen to us.
Yeah.
Doing it ourselves. So, you know, it's unfortunate. So I
self-destructive, you know.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what is coming down. You know, you see it all around us, you know.
Yeah. And you know, that movement there, the whole self-destruction back, I remember when that came out.
Remember that?
You know, so we can't say we haven't been taught. Even the West Coast, we're all in the same game, came together to try to do something. Then you have Chuck D, what you do, get your head ready instead of getting physically sweaty. Trying to say that let's use this and not just these. So, you know, KRS-One, I met him. He probably wouldn't remember it because, you know, it's KRS-One, but, you know, I didn't have a philosophy coming up. So to hear him say my philosophy on the industry, you know, and just the things he was saying.
The knowledge.
The knowledge. So
that
was another show. I have to shout out the artist, you know, Rakim, when I think about Follow the Leader and some of the things he was saying. So those are the influences that said, okay, take what you can do and put some positivity, put some. And I got one coming out that's gonna be funny. As they said, look, you got to do one that's not as serious, and there's still some messages in it. And this was during the time where they were trying to talk to me about a second project. And they said, what are you thinking? I said, I don't know, maybe I'll be back. And so then I took that and I said, enemies attack and I'll be back. Yeah, it's like that. And I'll be back. So, you know, I put this little thing together, and it will probably be the last one I release. But it's just kind of interesting, the reactions to the folks in the studio when I was doing that one. And I couldn't help. There's still some messages in it, but it's actually just a fun song, and it's going to be interesting to see how that one is received because it's a little different than the other stuff, but it's still connected.
Yeah, that's huge, man. That's huge. You know, shout out to you again, man, for making it happen, man. It's good for everything you do and what you're bringing to the music industry, bringing to the genre. You know, I noticed too when I was looking at some of you checking out your social media stuff, you had a picture of one of my favorite rap groups, Houdini.
Oh man,
you know Houdini.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, that. I know.
Rest in peace, Ecstasy.
Yeah,
you know?
say Ecstasy, but yeah, that they had messages in their music. Then they had the party songs, but yeah, Houdini's another one. Yeah, so many of those artists of that era. Then every time I do this, I say, okay, you got to make sure. As you mentioned, like Queen Latifah and MC, like not just the guy, the fellas was doing and stuff. But so when she hit with the whole UNITY and so when you know that, and it's funny how that music was literally like, did it go into like the Phantom Zone, or when you have a concerted, intentional effort to undermine edutainment, that's just it shows what that was all about. Now, I'm going to tell you, on this journey, I've met some critics and resistance because of the same thing. He's preaching. He's such and such. And I'm like, when I had the most darkest moments in my life, the stuff that had no substance did not do anything for me. I had to grab some of the stuff and kind of revisit some of the stuff that gave me the messages that I needed to hear to get out from under. So yeah. So I had to shout out those artists. There's so many of them.
Run, Tribe Called
Quest. You talking about just coming through with, and then LL Cool J when and that one movie Crush Groove. Now, I have a picture with LL Cool J, and I actually invited him to my ceremony when I left the Navy. Now, he didn't make it, but I literally spoke to him backstage, gave him my little spiel on, how I would love for him to be there. Now, his management did contact me and say, he's going to spend time with family because he was in between, touring as well as the TV shows. But he still was just such a cool guy. What was funny, when he pulled, like when you give LL Cool J dap, one of my hands is like his, two. And so, you don't know just how. So I remember like when he gave the dap and he kind of pulled you in. And so it was funny. And both of us laughed because I was like, man, I didn't know you was this
strong.
I say you smell good, man. We just laughed.
Yeah.
But the picture's right down the hallway there, but when he said box, when they said no more interviews today, and he showed that determination, I'm not being stopped today, box. And then he, went in with his song. All of those, that imagery was a message. The first no might be a no to see how bad you want it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So to see him do that, that was a whole thing. You might have thought, oh, that was hardcore, such and such. But what he did not do is accept that first no for an answer. He was willing to take that risk and push that envelope. And, so, yeah, he's big influence because when I think about what was my writing, I said, if anybody works on my staff and I have to write them an award or something like that, or their appraisal, I think about the lyrics from years ago. I'm not bitter or mad, just proving I'm bad. You want to give me an hour plus a pen and a pad. So that became my writing mantra. I was like, okay, we do a good job, such and such. I'm going to give you the best proper write-up to see about getting you promoted, getting you pushed forward, because it's not just about me. So talk about messaging in music, even though that was just one bar, it had a lot of power behind it.
Yeah, that's big. That's big. And it is deep. It is deep. So yeah, you've been making it. You've been doing it your way. Now, I want to ask this question. What being everything that you've been through and experienced now, what advice would you give your younger self right now?
Whew. What advice would I give my younger self? That's that. Wow. I think I would have probably stayed in college. I probably would have finished, because once I did finish, I recognize that so we can say college is this, that, and the other, but with the way our system is set up, you finish high school and you get so much up until that point.
Yeah.
A lot of the things we struggle with when we're not distracted by our issues,
the hustle.
They're teaching, like in family psych. The first time we got into our 7-year itch, you know, and marriage, they say about every 7 years you're gonna hit this point. So I'm in family psych and I'm learning about affirmation and validation and what do you mean by you invalidate, you're not listening to me? What, you know, what are the 3 ego states that we pretty much operate in: parent, adult, and child? What you learned as a child, if you don't unlearn the bad habits, you take it into adulthood and then you give it to your children. So it was like, I think when I realized I was getting some information, if I really listened to it for what it was and not just a paycheck and not just, you know, and I know it's hard, circumstances that prevent us from doing that and seeing it that way. But that was because I was like, wow, you struggled when the information was in this 4 years of college. Yeah, so is that for everyone? No, but we can't say that it wasn't being taught. We just never went to the level of institution where it was being taught. You only get so much of that in high school.
Right.
But they continue on with it. But oftentimes, I understand, I was focused on how I'm gonna get out this house. Because back then they were saying when you 18, I didn't think I had an option. Now I realize today economy's different. A lot of kids are around a little bit longer.
Yeah, we got to stop telling our kids that. We got to stop telling our kids when you turn 18, you gotta get out of here.
Yeah, because it's just not as feasible.
No,
unless you do still join the military or something like that. It's just not as feasible today as it was then. But I didn't think I had an option to stay longer than 18, and I didn't think I had an option to go back. And it wasn't because they were mean to me. No, it wasn't. You know, when couples ideated or said they were going to get a divorce, with my grandparents, the rest of the family's in Memphis. If someone in Memphis said that they won't get a divorce, do you know that one of those individuals had to come up and sit down with the elders in Detroit? The other individual stayed with some of the elders down there, and they tried to see if they couldn't work through that. Some of it worked. Some of them got divorced. Some of them got divorced and found their way back to each other because the grass wasn't greener. Or the grass was green in the front yard and then they went around the back and they hadn't gone back together. So, you know, so that's what I would do. Those are the things that I would tell my younger self, because yeah, it would have been great information. It would have saved some heartache and headache but you got to be ready to hear it. And that a lot of times in college, like I say, we're so distracted or so, you know, depending on the drama we're leaving behind. But it was still to recognize that there it is, family psych. There it is. You know, some of the different things about resiliency, and it's right there. That's
big. You know, that right there is real big. You know, and that's the words you're saying is so true to our people. You know, to the young people, need to pull the bootstraps up and check you out, you know, and listen to see what's happening But before I let you get out of here, I want you to tell all our viewers all your social medias, where they can find your music, where they can hear you, and what's popping. What's next?
All right. So pretty much, I'm Seeymoore Bell on every one of my social medias: Instagram, Seeymoore_Bell, and TikTok, same Seeymoore Bell. As far as my music, it's pretty much on all streaming platforms, to include YouTube. I appreciate the support that people have shown thus far, because you truly can't, without the support of listeners and people to stream the music. So I just want to give a shout out to those who have listened, and ask that you encourage others to listen. But yeah, that's how you can find me on social media. And then, like I said, Spotify, Apple, Deezer, you name it, YouTube, the music out there to be streamed. So
yeah, that's big, And we appreciate it because, for you coming and spending some time with us, because, time is something that you can't get back. So, and
hey, well, I
really appreciate it,
I do appreciate it.
And we definitely got you locked in, and we definitely going to be following, promoting. We're probably going to spin the block and have you back.
Man,
you just talk about it.
You just hit one of the lyrics, because I'm gonna spin the block and I'll be back. So
yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, I can't wait till that one drop to see, because like I said, the younger crowd in the studio, they were like, "Oh, this is it," and I'm thinking like, that is, but hey,
yeah, man, you got to keep schooling them. Keep schooling them. You putting it down.
It's mutual though, because we have, I will say this: we can complain about the generations that are coming after us, but we can't give up on them. The thing about so many people have done that, and I was talking to this one young lady, and she said, I said to her, we were talking about entitlement, and so she was a young sailor, and the reason I keep emphasizing young, because I actually said, what I want to do, what I would like for you to do, is get a power suit. I don't care about your rank. I'm gonna put you in front of some senior people. And what I said to her was the whole sense of entitlement. She said, "Well, you all created it." I said, "What? What did you just say?" She says, "You all created it. Think about how your parents and you all would say, I don't want you to struggle the way I did." Yeah. Maybe it was the struggle that made you who you were. By you paying me for my grades, that should have been my reasonable sacrifice to be in your house, was good grades. But you decided. So, and I listened to her, and I said, "Oh, no, she didn't just call out like every generation before her, saying that we contributed to the sense of entitlement through poor generational leadership." And I was just like, wow, okay. Wow. And that's why I invited her. I said, I want you to say that same thing in front of an audience of other people who loosely say what I just said to you. Yeah. And you checked me. She checked me. So
she checked.
That as an outro, because we can't give up. And through them, I end up reinventing some, learning. It's up for us to learn them to a degree as well, and not just always be in lecture mode and stuff like that. That's a turnoff. So
yeah. You don't want to always be lecture, because people don't want to. You got them people. Oh, here he come. He gonna come. Got gonna beat my eyebrows, beat my ears. Yeah. You don't want to hear. Don't got time for that. But do it in your music, bro. Keep it up, man.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Seeymoore Bell, man. Check him out. People about Seeymoore Bell, all social medias. Hit him up. Show some love. Man's making it happen, man. This is PStock. This has been iHipHopTV 1-on-1. Peace.
Brick by brick, you get your boy Big Wall. And you already know the vibes when you see PStock next to me.
For the second annual 312 Music Awards for 2024. And that's a huge thing because it goes beyond music. It goes into the cultural heritage of Chicago. You paid your dues. You know, you did your thing in the background, singing background for people and, you know, doing all the stuff that R&B singers got to do to get their projects off the ground. You know,
a situation I was, working with a different label before, and, we mutually parted ways. And, I was just at a place where, I wanted to just kind of stand on my own. I didn't want to depend on any labels. Hey, yo, this your boy Antonio Kyrie on behalf of Black Kingdom Entertainment, coming through showing some love with Address the Culture. Appreciate you, PStock, for having me. Y'all come through, check out all the wonderful things I got going on. Peace and love to you.
It's that your accomplishments are astounding, and man, you need to pat yourself on the back for that, man. You've done it all.
Brother. Thank you, brother. I mean, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Hearing it, it still gives me chills when I hear it. And to be able to touch on these genres of music while respecting them and putting my spin on it has truly been a creative montage of things that I hold near and dear. Being creative, being freely creative, I think is my secret weapon, I mean, hip hop and soul music is the love of my life. I fell in love with music before I had my first girlfriend. It's a blessing to be able to do what we do. And I'm currently touring off this record, the Jeff Bradshaw 20 album. Currently on tour, and currently on tour with Miss Patti LaBelle as her special guest as well. So, I'm coming to a city near you.
my man Glenn Broadus Jr. What's happening, bro? Favorite films, man. That's big, and I love it,
I started off in college and I got an intern position as a camera loader. I started out as a camera loader on a television show called The Mentalist.
Right.
I landed a really, really, really great position with Bentley Evans. If you're familiar with Bentley Evans, he's been around for a long time. He did Martin Lawrence. For the Martin, everybody remembers Martin. Everybody remembers Jamie Foxx show. And that went from one television. That went from one episode to 500 episodes on television. Pittsburgh, all out your boy. Go to TV, check out You Gotta Have Courage, and you're going to understand what your boy is doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm live. I'm on here right now with PStock, baby.
You gotta check it out.
You know what's going on right now.
Yep, you gotta check that out, man.
You gotta check it out. You gotta have courage. SUBCRIBE. iHipHopTV is big right now, Pittsburgh. Y'all better come on. It's happening.
What's going on, everybody? It's Courage from Favorite Films, and I am excited to tell you some great news. You Gotta Have Courage is now streaming on Tubi. I have 4 episodes up. It's going to be epic. I hope you feel that same way. You have to check it out. And if you was wondering where your footage went and it wasn't in the video, it's because it went into the show. So take a look. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your cousin, tell your sister, and then repeat. Stay tuned to more You Gotta Have Courage. Films.
How did you end up going on tour with Ike Turner? How did that happen?
Wow. So actually, I was at a karaoke bar and I had ran into a girl who does karaoke, and she's like, "Hey, I'm singing background for Ike and he's going on the road. Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Does he beat you?" But I did learn a lot from him, vocally, entertainment-wise. It was really awesome. I also learned where he used to hide his drugs, so it was cool.
So basically, I've been under the radar for a long time. as far as just my music is concerned, because I've been more into like fashion, and right now I'm putting a company together actually with fragrance oil, and I'm launching that very soon. At the age of 12.
I was just about to be 13, my first season of fashion shows and Fashion Week, and I was on the run with Naomi, Iman, like all of the people that I didn't even know who they were, and they were like, everyone's a big deal. It was my first photo shoot for Johnny Versace.
You gotta have a model.
Yeah, baby, not just a model, a supermodel.
A supermodel.
Yeah, not model extraordinaire, baby. Supermodel. I didn't want to correct you, but I'm going to correct you right now.
There it is.
Sleeping in his car, selling CDs for people. Like my big bro Juice, Bullies with Fullies, that put me in the game. Get Paid Music Group, Black Sea, RBL Posse. That smile will purify your soul. Being an artist and being creative and make you take these type of, initiatives to, get to the next level or accomplish the next goal. Dwayne Wiggins was right there with us. Yeah. He came up to me after. He said, "Young Blood, man, your music is awesome." He said, "Man, I know you grinding and doing your thing. Man, keep going."